media. What was your first reaction, Joe Walsh, when you heard yesterday that Mar-a-Lago was raided by the FBI?
Not a surprise that the FBI did what they did, but then my first reaction was, this is going to strengthen Trump within the Republican Party. And as the evening played out and more people became aware of it, that's exactly what happened. Every Republican came out and said, this can't stand. This is third world BS. And all the Republican voters I've heard from have said the same thing. We're now fully behind Trump. So I think it strengthened him within the party.
Do you believe and do you have confidence in the FBI director, by the way, who was appointed by Donald Trump? He's a Republican. Do you have confidence that they crossed their T's and dotted their I's and they made sure that they had sufficient evidence and there's a there for going in there? Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do. And I have confidence in the Justice Department understanding the gravity of this move. I have no doubt, and you have no doubt, this was approved. It had to have been approved by Merrick Garland. It's such a profound move. Now, does the FBI make mistakes? Heck yeah. Does the FBI overreach at times? Heck yeah. But you can bet, I can feel pretty confident that they probably had a pretty damn good reason for doing what they did.
If the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, took some of these documents and brought them back to Mar-a-Lago and got rid of some of these documents, we've heard rumors that, he flushed some of these documents down the toilet. We've heard all sorts of different things, but we don't know for sure. Why do you think the former president did that? And do you believe, as I do, that there was some incriminating stuff that he got rid of?
Always. Look, the guy's been a criminal his whole life. That's what he is. He's been running from the law his whole life. He's been running from prosecutors and lawsuits his whole life. Just the Presidential Records Act. Is it a huge deal? No, but it's an important deal. And just taking those file boxes, those presidential documents down to Mar-a-Lago violated that act. The more concerning piece of this, though, is he has a bunch of highly classified documents, information down there. This is a security risk. You remember how ballistic Republicans went when it came to Hillary and her emails and her servers. My God, Trump had boxes full of highly classified documentation down there.
Joe, you've worked with a lot of people in Washington in your career as a former congressman, of course, former presidential candidate. Without giving out any names, I would imagine you've spoken to a lot of people over the last 24 hours. What are some of your Republican friends, either in office or pastly in office? What are some of them telling you about this situation yesterday?
So this is why I'm really concerned, because even a number of Republicans who I've spoken with, who privately have no love for Donald Trump, even they are pissed off about what the FBI did. I hear from the mega base all the time, but I hear from a lot of Republicans who aren't part of the mega base all the time. And again, without any evidence, they just right away assume, oh my God, this is a step too far, which is why I'm hearing from a lot of Trump supporters who were softening a little bit on their support of Trump the last few months because of the January 6th hearings. Man, they're telling me now they're 100% behind him. We're all going to unite behind Trump. So that's my fear, is that this really will turn him into a martyr within the party.
There are some Democrats that feel like this could take away from the January 6th hearings. Andrew Cuomo, disgraced former governor, he made some comments today. Andrew Yang made some interesting comments today, almost defending Donald Trump. And then if you watch Fox News, as you know, Joe, or OAN or Newsmax or any of these networks, yesterday their coverage is basically, well, what about Hunter Biden? What about the Hillary Clinton emails? What do you make of that?
It's deflection, but it's also victimization. That's the other big thing I heard last night, my friend, and what I've heard all day today. Oh, my God, here comes the deep state again after Donald Trump. Nobody has had to put up or endure more than Donald Trump. And if they're going after him, they're going after all of us. So it's this sense of victimization that animates my former political party more than anything.
What do you think is going to be the end result here? What is your gut instincts? Do you think they have the goods and eventually Donald Trump is going to be indicted, charged with a crime. What do you think is going to be the end result here? Because you've pretty much been right with a lot of stuff in the news over the last few years. What do you think happens here?
Well, I don't know what ultimately will happen with Trump legally. Will he be indicted? Won't he? It certainly seems to me like he ought to, but I'm not going to weigh in on that. Here's what I know. I believe Trump's going to come out. Man, he'd like to come out tomorrow and announce, but I believe he's going to come out in early September, announce he's running for re-election. And what happened yesterday is going to strengthen him, and it's going to freeze anybody else who might have thought about running against him. And when it comes to what the FBI did yesterday and any potential indictment, that could be months, if not a couple of years down the road.
Wow. So this is interesting. So you're actually taking the approach, and you're not the only one, that this is actually in the long run politically a positive for the former president of the United States.
Huge. He was the favorite to be the Republican nominee before yesterday. Now he's locked it up. No pun intended. He's locked up the nomination. So I think politically, Trump's a criminal, but politically it's great for him. But I also think it's good for Democrats because it'll keep that ugly criminal mug of his in the news every day running up to the midterms.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens. Joe, I appreciate you coming on such short notice. We know how busy you are, and I'll certainly be following your Twitter feed as I always do throughout the day, my friend. Your podcast is awesome, and you know how much I appreciate you coming on, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it. That is Joe Walsh, former presidential candidate.